So it turns out I'm really most used to spraying rough castings. And this is smoothed out and I got some runs in it. It's okay. It's okay. It's going to be fine. So I went over the surface very, very lightly with some steel wool, with some fine sandpaper. And I got all of the little drip lines, some that I could see, some that I couldn't see. I got them all pretty much taken care of. And it all looks good, and I'm just going to mist another coat on, because I can. And it'll be great this time. And I won't overdo, I swear. Also a couple of spots that were a little light. I'll get them. And I'm happy I did that. Anyway, great. Great. So let's move on and do something else. Be great. Well, the drywall unit came out really, really, really well. I've been pleased. Paint, because it's a rough casting mostly, so it turns out I can do a reasonably good job on something like that. I got a little excess paint in a couple of places, but that's going to come right off. I tried to protect the shafts, but that didn't seem to completely work out. This is that little contraption-y thing. That's good, like that. Got my dipstick back in, and my shafts were protected from the paint. And that's that one. And I should get my handle that goes on this one now. And then I need to pluck the paint off the badges. I need to get a knife to do that. Piece of fresh steel wool and take care of that shaft too. All right, now badge time. I don't know how this is going to really work out. It should. Imagine, I don't want to scratch anything, right? That's just super. Wow, that's great. A little teeny bit of steel wool. This is 1/0 steel wool. Should polish this thing up pretty well. Look at that. A little excessive here. Got some paint on. I actually can't say that I know why I didn't put tape on the hole of the shaft. Yes, I thought I had better aim than this. Well, it's amazing to continue to surprise yourself with what you can talk yourself into doing. All right, that's clean. Good. Let's spin this around. I want to get the handle back on, not because it's so important, but I don't want to lose the pin. And I guess that's really it. Also, it would allow me to put the wheels back on, the pulleys. Some of this is good. All right, let's get this off. Nice. Really nice. This feels rough where I didn't paint it. Tape it. Yeah, it's a little overspray because I'm, I guess, numb. All right, and now I'm going to swing this around, and we'll get to work on the handle, and then I guess we'll move on to the pulleys. I think. See if I can turn this around. Making a mess. That worked. All right, first, I think, let's get the badge off. I think, or get the tape off the badge. Left a little pocket. I was thinking I was going to have to cut it, then obviously risk making a mark in the badge itself. But there it goes. That's what it looks like when when someone actually is pretending to know what they're doing and succeeds. Good, good. So those are good. Contrast, not so good. But anyway, handle. All right. So handle. This hasn't been on this side. but I think it will go here. And I think I should be able to sight down through the hole where the pin goes. There it is. All I have to do is get it set through there. One end of this is mushed from where it was beaten the last time. And the other is, this is what they call a spring pin. It's a piece of metal coiled around and almost touching where the joint is, so that it has a little bit of tension and can sort of keep itself in its hole without ever sliding out. The alternative is a tapered pin, which is a little bit generation before this. That. There it is. I don't need to hit that any harder or any more. There you go. Handle's in. So now, this is output, that's input. Love this. So let's get the input wheel on. That's super. Input. This is the Reeves Drive belt goes on this. You seen that Reeves Drive belt? So, for all intents and purposes, it's a flat belt because it runs on this. It's a flat belt, but it's also got a V bevel on the edges of it because it fits into a ever-changing pair of conic pulley sides. Anyway, so this goes on here. Obviously, it dances around a little bit. And it's made out of fiber, I guess, to grip the rubber. I don't know how much tension this is under. My guess is a fair amount. But that's in the future. Not right now. We've got a little bit of ways to go now. This has a couple of holes in it. I assume that there are grub screws. Socket screws that go in there. Don't know if they're in there or not. I haven't seen them. I believe this is the Allen wrench for them. It's tough because I don't even know if they're in there. Hard to know. Yeah, I'm not convinced. Not convinced that I know. All right. And I have 3 keys. I don't know what they all go to. I assume the longest one goes in here because it's the deepest. It's got some marks from where a grub screw connected to it. Beyond that, I don't know much. That goes there. I'll have to look at that. Anyway, let's try for this other pulley. That goes on there pretty smoothly. And that goes there. And this. This also shows marks of having a grub screw on it. There we go. So now, okay, and this is high. This, okay, there you go. All right. All right, great. That's back together and seems to be working in the way that it's supposed to be working, which is pretty exciting. That's on, that's on. And now, let's move on to something else. We've got the other half of the brackets that this all goes on, this and the motor go on. Today's mission is going to be mostly the motor, getting the motor off, getting the base worked out, issues of the base worked out on the motor. That's mostly it. This was just, you know, a little bit of success candy, if you know what I mean. All right, good, done. Well, this is where we left off last time, I think. I did the tops of this stuff, and now I'm going to get the bottoms. It shouldn't be a big deal. I think I've got reasonably good contact and everything. That's good. A little bit of, not quite so much there. All looks good otherwise. Good. So I've got to get a little bit of that edge before I shoot the bottom of this thing. I can do that. Do that pretty easily. Good. And then this one, I'll turn it around. Doesn't look bad. All remarkably easy to do. I'm going to take care of this right now. I get a spray can. I got it for the spray can. All right. This is where my overspraying thing comes in, because it's rough cast iron, right? It just doesn't, pretty hard to put too much paint on. That really looks terrific. All right, that's that story. That, you know, it's as simple as that. All right, red, all good. This is really exciting for me. Maybe too much so, but it's, you know, it is. Woo! 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 Anyway, good. All right, off to the motor. So I want to get the motor up on top of this so I can take it apart. I think there's room around here to work. It's heavy. I'm running out of places to put things that are heavy. This jointer is not yet in operation, so it provides a great, durable, steady base for working on the motor, which isn't much. I need to take it apart, clean it, make a couple of new things, paint the slide portion of it, and maybe make a better looking plywood connection between the two. It's simple. I just have to get the engine hoist back here. There isn't really room. I'm sure I'm going to be in your way, but this is my engine hoist in another application. Pretty cool. I'm able to lift tall buildings with single bound. It's I don't feel as though I'm going to die doing it. That's, you know, that's different than some things. I don't know if there's going to be room to get by. I'm pinched in. And I would like to get it a little bit more than just on the edge of this thing, which actually looks like I can. Well, that's great. That's great. Things go right. just drop it on bolt the motor and maybe pull the motor away and just have it hang for a little bit. Okay. All right, that's what we're going to do. Drop it. Let's just start taking things apart. All right, I'll bring you back once I take enough stuff apart. All right, so I've got the motor down on the end of the jointer. God bless that jointer. Someday I'm actually going to use it as a tool rather than a bench. Anyway, I get it down there, and it's now time to take it apart and figure out what I need to do about that. It's all about centering, it's all about balancing, and it's all about getting some sort of hole, set of holes to line up. I assume that the platform that it's on, which is the thing that we tighten and loosen the Reeves Drive on, I assume that that is not drilled out at the same points as the bracket for the motor, and this is what we're looking at. I can do better, I think. Let's see what happens. Well, I think what Mr. St. Lawrence did was embedded nuts in the backside of this piece of plywood, and that's how he got by with these tiny little bolts. Look at that. Tiny. That's cute. We'll see how this works. Who knows what he did, really, but we'll see if we can make it work. 2 more on the back, and then I should be able to, at the very least, lift the motor. I'm pretty convinced that I don't want to get involved in the motor. We're going to dust it off, and we'll leave it at that. Another one. I guess a lot of this exercise is really going to just be getting a bigger, better looking piece of plywood on this. It should at the very least look like an electric motor. Alright, so now I can yank this off that, and I don't know what I'll do with it. Just move it to one side, trip over it, bang my shins. You know, it's the little things. Anyway, cool. Alright, I guess for now I'm just going to slide this back. And we'll be able to see where we're going. Just the hell of it, I'm going to snap a quick picture, because I don't know if you caught on, but you end up getting deeper and deeper into projects like this. And you frequently go past your ability to remember exactly how things were. So this will answer the question of, was this way or that way? Something simple like that. Space out. Alright, so I'm going to pull this over. Maybe I can get it back without a lot of mess. Rocking something. Pardon me. It's not very fluid, because I got chips on the floor, so the wheels keep hanging up. Alright, here's that. Let's examine this a little bit further. There's some bolts sticking up. This one he had to set down because that bracket sits right next to it. Cool. He used some nice plywood. Just for the hell of it, I will make a mark or two. Because I'll never, my dream is to get a new motor, right? You heard that part. So I'll go through all of the changing this piece of plywood when I'm going to get a new motor. That's a good question. What's so wrong about this piece of plywood other than it doesn't really look like it fits? Wow, grease fitting. That's fabulous. All right, I've got some looking around to do on this. That must lock when it gets too far. got a little interesting bit of tidbit of information on it. This says manufactured by Reeves Pulley Company, Columbus, Indiana. It's got a patent on it. It was reissued. So I'll be able to find out when this Reeves Drive was put on. That's cute. Okay, I've not gotten very much further. Obviously, I'm having second thoughts about replacing this. I'm wondering why. It's all drilled out. Everything seems to fit. It's got socket screws in it. It's all good. It's as good as I'm going to make. I'm just going to make a bigger one. So under that heading, I just don't like the accidental nature of the thing. It's the right size this way, but it's too narrow this way. It's not too narrow. It just looks it, right? So one asks, why not just make this, because this is actually acceptable in terms of its use. Let's just make it wider. I'm going to get a strip of wood, put it on either side of it, glue it on, nail it on, and tomorrow, paint the whole damn thing a different color. And that way I can have this done, get it in the pipeline. This is all about in the pipeline, getting them in the pipeline. I've only got so much time. I want to get things in the pipeline. Add 2 pieces 5/8 inch by 3/4 inch pieces of wood to this. Glue them. Tomorrow I can sand it. I can then paint it. And in the 3-4 days of painting and sanding and the rest of that, I'll have this thing cleaned up. I'll be able to get this thing apart, back together again, painted, greased, all of that crap. And then it'll be happy time on the old Frontier. That's the plan. Here we go. Strips of wood. Well, I got to here. I got this off. This is the upper plate. Slides back and forth on this rod, which is not, it does not look like it's an Acme thread. But it's close. I mean, it could be, it's one of those 10-degree Acme threads. I don't know. It's got no flat spot at the top, though. I think it's a regular thread. Anyway, this is drilled out. This is just cast iron. There's no sleeves. This isn't meant for a lot of wear. It's just meant to, be occasionally used, is what it looks like. It's not part of its regular use, like on a cross slide on a lathe. You expect every time you use a lathe, you run that cross slide in or out or whatever. This doesn't, and so that has a nut in it that can be replaced. This does not. This is supposed to wear and be good enough, because it only gets run in and out at most once a day under use. That's what I'm figuring. Anyway, so this came out. Nothing's wrong with it. It's the casting, there's some machining. There are no gibs. There are no little pieces of steel that are in here that take up the play. This is, again, not a high wear operation. This is just a good functional, keyed in, beveled slots, ways. It's all good. Nothing wrong. It's just not meant for high wear, which is fine. I got it. I wasn't prepared for that, but I'm getting it. What struck me as odd, and I guess what all of this is about, is this has I think I don't know shit about them, but I think these are called Zerk fittings. You pump grease into those. Oh. I'm wondering where it goes, right? I was thinking it went to this place here, and then how does it get to the other side? So it's got a tunnel across. I was looking for a hole on this end that was plugged, that would drip oil onto this. It isn't. It's for this. That Zerk fitting is to get grease to the threaded portion for this thing, so this won't wear excessively. That's what it is. Well, now I'm back. I guess I'll remove that and clean it because it's plugged solid. I don't get the sense it's ever been used. I don't get the sense that this has been greased the one time. It's what I'm guessing. Not a lot of wear. This has a patent number on it. I checked the date. It was patented in 1933, which is a good solid date for converting this old belt drive unit into a electric motor unit for, probably redoing the shop in the 30s. I can see it. I was wondering if it had to do with World War II, But it didn't. It's an interwar sort of thing. Anyway, so this gets cleaned up. I'm going to get, this doesn't need shit done to it. Cleaned. And I want to paint and change the paint scheme. I've got the piece of plywood that makes the conversion between this bolt pattern and the motor that I've got now. That piece of plywood, I've got some strips on it. It's over drying, being glued. This has got a funny little thing done in aluminum, mystery metal of the day. Little thin piece of aluminum, why I don't know, riveted in. And it's got, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Must have something to do with those. Look like they're about an inch apart. Just for the hell of it, I will measure and make sure they look to be as close to an inch apart as you'd imagine. So this must be something to do with being able to gauge how much of the belt you've driven up or taken back or whatever. I'll have to figure some of that out because none of that's really written down. I did measure and codify the bolt positions on the racks that hold this and the all drive, which is what this connects to. This doesn't drive the lathe, this drives the all drive. Drywall. Jesus. Anyway, this needs to get painted. This, in the process of shipping it here, we took all of the pieces apart. So I don't know that the bolt pattern, which I'm going to change because I'm painting it, right? I've moved everything around. I don't know if the bolt pattern was correct for where the motor locations were. I've got a photograph that the owner took before he disassembled. That tells me a few things, but not endless amounts. And there are no measurements on it. It's just a proportional photographs. I'm not sure where I'm headed with this. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to have to do some playing around with the bolt patterns, but that's pretty simple stuff. That's where these bolts go through on the racks. And I should be able to just loosen the bolts and move the things back and forth. It's probably an afternoon of playing with it. We'll take care of that. Anyway, all in all, this seems like it's moving along. It's fun to see that. It's fun to get a date. It's fun to figure out what the Zerk fitting's doing here. Thank you very much. We'll get this clean and paint up tape up a few things and tape up over the badge and the threaded rod and then get some paint sprayed on it. Tape this. Be good. Tape the ways. I got to clean this pretty darn well. Tape up the ways, and then just before I assemble it, I've got some whey oil. I'll put on those, and I've got some spindle oil. I'll put on these, and then I'll start the process of reassembly. I haven't touched the core of the ways of the lathe. You'll see what I'm referring to. No one's ever done the inside since it was made. They're not horrible, but they're filthy. And I think I want to try to get that all spruced up. So that's going to be, after all the incidental parts are done, that'll be my big project just before reassembly, I think. We'll know in a while. Yeah, I've taken so many things off, I don't even know. But I'm going to start putting some stuff back on. I kind of have to. Part of what I'm going to do is start getting the pieces of this bracketry and the drywall rack. I've got it painted. It was, I won't say easy. You got to do something, right? I got it painted, and I think we're pretty well along with that. And it makes sense to start putting things back together, I believe. And I'm hoping this all works out. This part I'm not sure about. I remember these things being centered. It's hard to know for sure. these were all adjustable. I can just move them around as I wish. I've got to get it back together somehow. Some of it I know took photographs and measurements. Some of it I don't. I really can't get into too much trouble. When I put the drywall back on, it's either going to line up with this pulley or it's not. And I'm going to slide this bar and the other stuff until it does. I mean, I'm letting it get ahead of me. I'm letting it get to me. It's not a big deal. I'll do this way. And now everything's clean. It's really easy to see. I've had it all in my hands. I know how everything fits. It's going to go back together so easily. Huh. All right. Cool. Next. I believe when that goes like that, drywall unit goes right above that. It's all pretty cool. What provides the tension on the belt between the drywall pulley and this? I'm going to guess that it's this position of the drywall, because little else moves. There's also a bracket that goes up the front of this thing. I should sand and paint that too before I go much further. All right, there's one of those. Is that beautiful or what? Beautiful, just beautiful. Plate goes on, a couple of little shackles, some bolts go through. Nuts. Whew. Super. Super. You'd think that this would be there, but I know it doesn't, because this has got casting flash on the edges. It wouldn't be there. Cool. Very cool. I do have a photograph that I took that shows the spacing of these things. I should check it.